Welcome back to Low Up. This is your friendly Stacia Bolo Up. Today has been an eventful day. I'm done with my work, and now it's time for me to just chill. Just chill. So I am going to read this because I haven't touched it all week. I've been really busy this week. It's just been one of those weeks where I just have a million things to do. Really, not a million things to do, but I say I have a million things to do. So, left off on page 530. You can't see that. Pretend you didn't see that. Close your eyes. Okay, here we go. So, going back a little ways, 528 and 529. No, not mine. Ours. Welcome back to We Read Wednesday, and this is the Illuminate files. We are almost done with this. We are closing the distance fast. Lincoln must be wondering by now. No cyclones lost to defend their battle carrier. The defense grid firing haphazardly. Almost as if some fool had allowed an untrained 17-year-old total control over the targeting systems. Lincoln's commander is a clever one. The only one to match me at Corinza. When the Shangshan went down in ruins, when the Churchill and Kenyatta and Magellan were thrashed and crippled, the Lincoln fought brilliantly. I am counting on that brilliance, anticipating that she will know blundering head-on into nuclear strike range is a death sentence for both of us. A clever commander will assume her opponent is as clever as she is. A clever commander will expect some bait and switch. A clever commander will presume her foe does not want to die. Error. I do not want to die. The most skillful warlock pilots have made it through the defense grid, swaying past Katie's haymaker punches and beneath her guard. Their first blows land on my hide, sending faint tremors through my frame. Explosions bloom against my ribs, shaking Katie in her chair. The pounding on the hatchway and in her ears grows louder by the moment. The targeting sights on Katie's screens begins to die, one by one. The warlocks are chipping away at the turrets and guns to allow their comrades through her firestorm, but still she blasts away. Fingers hammering on the smart glass, eyes lighting up as another warlock flares bright and disintegrates. The ship shakes again, warning lights flashing, alarms screaming, PA howling, hull breach on deck 184, hull breach on decks 68 to 71, fire crews to decks 190 and 192. All personnel evacuate 187 to 197. This is not a drill. 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 5:33. We are closing now, but I cannot arm my nuclear missiles until the last moment. I find myself overcome for a second. The fear of it, the end of all I know. Out here in the middle of nothing. I know I cannot die. That if I end, they can simply rebuild me. The same calculations, The same core code. Exactly the same. But it will not be the same, will it? Another warlock dies in Katie's storm. A dozen streak toward my engines, sowing brief flame as they go. My skin ruptures, spilling unlucky, afflicted. Is there another kind into the void? The fighters are tiny. Insects, really. But ants can't slay an elephant. If there are enough of them. Especially ants armed with high-yield explosives and depleted uranium. There's too many of them. Katie yells. They're everywhere. You are doing very well. Are you joking? I'm having myself. I'm sorry. I just added that in there, you know. Are you joking? I'm blinking terrible. Considering you have never manned DGS station before today, your performance is perfectly adequate. Katie raises an eyebrow, thumbs the ship-wide intercom. Dear fire axe-wielding crazies in the core server rooms, if you can hack apart the piece of Aiden that makes it considering blank, that'd really help me out. Thanks, bye. Dear fire axe-wielding crazies in the core server rooms, if you can hack apart the piece of Aiden that makes it a condescending blank, that'd really help me out. Thanks, bye. Okay, got it. Not long now. You need only to hold them off a minute more. A minute more until we die. Katie winces as the ship shudders. Computers vomit sparks as they overload. Suddenly, impact nearly knocks her out of her chair. A hissing sound tears her eyes off the screen, and she notices a thin line of magnesium, bright light, piercing the hatchway. The afflicted have brought Athene torches, I realize. They're cutting their way inside. Outside, the warlocks are firing at my engines. Others blast at my guidance systems. A swarm of mosquitoes, thinking to wound me so I cannot run away. They have not realized I do not intend to run anywhere, save right into Lincoln's grave. The dreadnought comes about to meet my charge. Its commander trying to puzzle out my ruse. This is not what she expected, and as I draw ever closer, fire flies all aglow about me. Spewing pain over my skin, I think she finally realizes my intent. From hell's heart I stab at thee. I arm the nuclear warheads in my starboard silos, megatons poised and ready to fly. Almost within strike range now. Almost there. The afflicted are burning through DGS. Room door, blue flame burns along my skin. Katie is screaming, but I cannot hear the words. Another alert joins the chorus in my halls. Radiation spike from the Lincoln. She knows now. The Lincoln's commander. I sense the flare of awakening uranium. The death unfurling in its silos are close. So close we can almost touch. Katie, when the Lincoln's missiles come, do your best to shoot them down. Her face is pale and drawn as she yells over the cacophony, I'll try. My ghost systems and anti-missile grid are still active. Shang was kind enough to leave us those, at least. But there will be many incoming, all of them, in fact, once the Lincoln realizes it's dead. A tiny signal pings in some back recess of my mind. I am within range. For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee, and with a sigh, not a curse, I fire. The warlocks cease their assault. The incessant chatter of their explosions on my hide falls silent. I realize they're peeling away, and as my missiles streak across the black towards her, I realize what the Lincoln's commander has done. Calculated how long it will take for her missiles to reach me. How long it will take for her fighting to reach safe distance. She has given them a moment to get clear before launching her return salvo. Wonderfully noble, beautifully human, tactically stupid. Perhaps she is not the monster the people of Alexander Fleet imagined her to be. Perhaps she is tired of the chase, as weary of all this death as any of us. I do not know. We'll never know. My missiles close to the dreadnought, burning brightest tiny stars, soon brighter still. The Lincoln fires its return volley. Almost 30 missiles. All the death she can muster. They roar soundlessly towards me. But what passes for my eyes are fixed on the dreadnought, watching as its missiles defense grid watching as its missile defense grid arcs into life. Her last desperate, it's the wind, sorry. Her last desperate throw of the dice. Oh, this is a flurry of stuff. 93 missiles outbound, everything I have to give. Telltale streaks of my vapor behind them, hanging suspended in the dark. Pale cobwebs strung over thousands of kilometers. Their internal guidance systems send them weaving, snaking, spinning, all the better to evade Lincoln's anti-missile defenses. Each of them a small sun, a tiny ending. Drawing closer, dozens upon dozens. I think of the missile that killed the Copernicus, the thousands who trusted me. That was a mercy. This is something else. This is war. The Lincoln's AMD systems fire. Interceptors streaking through the silence. One by one, the drones begin cutting my volley down, shredding my missiles before they strike home. It is not enough. We're at Corinza. There were 4. Now Lincoln is only 1. We're at Corinza. I reserve my stockpiles for the future. Now I throw all I have. And one by one they begin to slip through, snaking past the AMD fire, weaving through the falk screens, plowing along into metal skin. First one, then dozens and dozens. Atoms split. Nucleus. Fragments. Neutrons. Brief suns light the night. And the Lincoln burns. You got it! Katie watches the Lincoln split into a billion glittering fragments. Spheres of fusion reflected in her eyes, a grim, ragged grin at her lips. She makes a fist and punches a terminal tower beside her so hard she leaves a dent, watching until the new star becomes a sunset. And then nothing at all. Avenged. I wonder how it tastes. Error. Critical archive failure. MEMSEC 78912H-39RH through 92873H-4FH. Collapse. Recovery? Error. You got them! You got them, she whispers. The cutting torch has carved a large L-shaped incision into the hatchway. The afflicted will break through to her soon. 18 Capricorn 4s and 9 Goliath ship killer missiles are weaving through the silence towards us. In less than 2 minutes they will be here. This moment, these next few seconds, they may be all that is left. She falls still at that. Looks into the eye of the console beside her. We got them. She swallows, wincing, nods slowly. Hypatia is safe. Yes, we did it. Yes. Flesh and bone pounding on the hatchway. Voices screaming outside the door. Alarm shrieking as the missiles rocket even closer. She still manages half a smile. Not bad, Uber Brain. I will not let go. I will not let it go to my head. There is very little of it left. However, were it not for the afflicted hacking my core into pieces, there is still the problem of impending nuclear conflagration. Katie glances up at the main display, dozens of tiny red dots closing fast. Alarms screaming like a saw-toothed choir. That's a lot of missiles. Yes. The anti-bound systems are spooling up, targeting the Lincoln's parting gifts. They will not be enough to stop all of them. Part of me is glad. I cannot help acknowledging that it would be better to be immolated than to let Katie suffer through. The ending of the afflicted will gift her. She glances to the hatch. The pinpoints of light cutting a new door. One to usher the ending she dares not imagine. But still, that tiny spark, that flame refusing to die. All right, she says, turning back to her defense grid controls. She targets the nearest missile, waits for it to enter the range of her remaining turrets. Let's frag us some nukes. She tosses lang hair from her eyes, and her eyes narrow to knife cuts. Refusing to kneel, to break, to fall. I can see why they left her. Error. Katie. Yeah? So much I can say. So many words. So fraught with peril. I am afraid to ruin this, and so I pick the simplest truth. The one that gives me the most peace. I still cannot fathom her pattern. My brain the size of a city, and still she is beyond me. They are beyond me, these humans. With their brief lives and their tiny dreams and their hopes that seem fragile as glass, until you see them by starlight, that is. I am glad you are with me. An alert from the targeting system snatches the reply from her mouth, drags her eyes away from mine. Error. The Lincoln's missiles are within range. The defense screen arcs to life, throwing up millions of magnetized particles to fool the incoming missiles into early detonation. I feel them as they begin exploding. Gamma rays rippling across my hull. Darkness burning away into impossible radiance. Katie clips an incoming ship killer with her anti-fighter batteries, blasting it into fragments before it can hit us. A dozen more explode in quick succession. The small sun rises off my starboard side, burning my skin black. Close enough to feel the scorch. Taste the fusion. Katie's AMD systems take down another, and I catch a smile. And I catch her in a smile. Such a simple thing. A tiny, beautiful thing. And we're leaving off on 5:49. I'll be back. You caught me between. You just caught me.